all the shows that I did and all the scenes that I came up with to clothe were really part of my fantasies. And I hired other people to enact my fantasies on a runway in front of an audience, not physically, personally having to execute these myself. It was like I was enrolling other people to execute my fantasies for me in front of me on the runway, on stage. So it kind of played out in that way. I have allowed myself at sometimes to involve the models in my show, asking them a question of what they would like or what they're safe or comfortable with. For instance, in the show Tribe, I asked one of the male models what would be his fantasy if he could have something done to him, some sort of fetish activity or form of bondage, torture, anything. What was his fantasy have done that he hadn't done yet that he'd be comfortable doing in front of an audience? And he said he'd never been pierced, that he would like to be pierced. So I'm thinking, okay. I hired someone who could pierce to be part of the show, and she's a professional person who does that. We attached red ostrich feathers, I believe, to the ends of the needles. And that was the Tribe show. And the young man was watching the professional piercer do it, and then he had to perform a piercing himself. That was part of one of the trials that he was put through. So this model had all these piercings done along his back, and the needles that were used had these red feathers attached. So it looked like he had wings on his back, coming from his back. And he was absolutely elated and thrilled to have that fulfilled, and then to have it in front of an audience of 2,000 people and to walk down the runway with his back pierced with needles that had feathers on it. Absolutely thrilled. So I felt I made his day, and it also made for a very effective and good scene within the show itself. So that would be one example of collaborating with models. Another model in that same show was a roller derby enthusiast. She played in the roller derby, and her name or nickname was Sharky. Oh, so that's great. So I made her an outfit that had shark fins on it. I literally put a shark fin on the back of the top she was wearing, and she wore her roller skates and roller skated down the runway. So incorporating the talents of the talent or the models into the show, that would be a form of how I would collaborate with models.